Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hill and special guests.
Season 2025. It is episode 3 yellow again. Everybody, I'm Randy Hills, looking deep diving into the year 1985. Exciting stuff and a bonus requested by Pat Trammell a little bit later. Speaking of Pat, we have a full panel for the first time in months and months and months, and we got a lot of people watching the show. We got Al Tuttle, we got B.C. Brad Collins, we got Todd Alexander, we got Greg Wayne, we got PJ, we got Thomas, we got a bunch of people in the house, and we'll go up first. Start first with the first take from the returning coach, superintendent, and a big-time Memphis wrestling guy. What's going on, Chris Alas?
What's happening, RH? And hey, everybody. Been a while since I've been on. Been a long time. Great to be back. Freezing cold, miserable cold. Unbelievable scenery from the Gulf. It's unbelievable what's going on down there with the snow. My first take has to do with college football's longest season ever and the disappointment of no teams from the South being in the championship. But now that we can pay players, I'm afraid that's going to be the trend. Ohio State can probably win forever now that we can pay players because they have such a large graduating classes or whatever you call it. So I'm interested to see how that looks in the future. Hey to Calvin. Hey, Frank. Hey, Jeremy. Hey, Thomas. Hi, PJ. Been a long time. It's great to see everybody. Get to hear from everybody. Great to be on with a full panel tonight. Excited about 1985 and the show tonight.
The founder, the president, the star of Fun Radio, a Alabama Broadcasting Hall of Fame, a Memphis Wrestling Hall of Fame 2024 member, our buddy Michael said John is colder than you're used to there in Alabama.
Boy, I can echo all the sentiments that Coach just said. And by the way, Coach, you look great, man. Looks like you're bundled up, and that's a good thing. But temperatures tonight down here, 7 degrees with a wind chill of -2. So we've been begging people to take in their small animals and their plants and keep that drip water running. And hopefully all will, just about every school system tomorrow are taking in 2 hours late. So we've been all over that today. But just a couple of things. Coach, you had a first take, and I totally agree with you. I dubbed it last night, college football crowned their first NIL champion. And that's exactly what happened. And you are exactly right. He who has the most money wins. And that's what's going to happen in college football. We're already seeing it. And I think the teams in the South, I think we're going to be a disadvantage except for Texas and Texas A&M. I think we're going to be at a disadvantage, but, Coach Saban and several other coaches, I heard even Urban Meyer chime in on this, the fact that we need to get a handle on it. And now with the change in the administration and everything that's happening in Washington and Coach Tuberville and Joe Manchin and those guys working to get that through Congress, maybe we can see some kind of, at least control put on this thing. My first take tonight is simply, I woke up this morning and I opened my eyes and I thought about everything that happened yesterday, a tremendous commemoration. I don't call it a holiday. Those are half-baked holidays. Those are high-nose holidays in name only. They're not really holidays. They're not Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, or Christmas, or New Year's. So they're half-baked holidays. I call them high-nose, holiday in name only. But I think they're wonderful commemorations, and I think that's what the day should be spent in commemorating those events and holidays that those high nose are taking about, including Dr. King, including our former presidents, including Columbus. Take time, keep the kids in school and study it, and make it a holiday, not from getting out of work and being able to not do anything, but make it a holiday, make it an event day, a commemoration day for those people. But let me tell you what I really, really thought about. I woke up this morning and I said, I've got to be one of the luckiest people that God ever created. And I think we as Americans need to think about this. We have to be one of the luckiest group of people, citizens of a country in the world, because we just witnessed yesterday the pomp, the circumstance, the beauty, the inspiration of changing our government from one ideology, Democrats, to another ideology, the Republicans. I don't care what you are. You can be any and everything. You can call yourself any and everything. But the way it was done and the way it happened, do you realize we've been doing this come next year for 250 years, which is only second to the Holy Roman Empire. So when you think of that in context of who we are and where we are and what we are all about in this country, we have our differences, we have our opinions, but we can think freely, we can live freely, we can love freely, and we can express ourselves freely. And I think that more so than anything is my first take tonight. Thank God for that.
All right, thank you, Michael. Bring it in now. He's from Sin City. As a matter of fact, he's not from Sin City. He's from Birmingham, Alabama. He's in Sin City right now. He's in Las Vegas, Nevada. First take from Pat Trammell. Hey, Pat.
Well, hello, everybody. It's good to have the band back together. I don't know that I can beat either one of those first takes. I guess this is Sin City. I'm too old to sin very much so. But I have, hey Al and everybody, good to be here and be back and be with you. But I've been here for work for a trade show that I go to. So hope everybody's doing well, staying cool, staying cold. Michael is absolutely right about the transfer of power. It is an American thing. It's kind of comedy to me to some extent, but I'm just happy we had a peaceful transfer and looking forward to see what the next 4 years brings. And I know we've got snow at the Gulf of America today, and I've got friends and neighbors from Mobile to Pensacola, including Shane Russell. So we'll see how all that goes.
All right, thank you, Pat. Now, this is either year 4 or year 5 of talking Memphis wrestling, and for the first time I remember, Pat has requested a video to be shown, and then he's going to have discussions and some questions. Go ahead and set up this video. And by the way, Adam, to give you a cue, it's one of the later videos I've uploaded, not one of the first ones. It's labeled the Fuller Family Feud. It's 9 minutes 28 seconds. Pat, you go ahead and you can set this up and your motivation for showing this thing.
Well, I'll tell you my motivation for showing this thing. I was driving, as many of you might know, I keep the scorebook for the Altamont High Knights, who are in a 2-14 season. But I was driving Friday down, and I pulled off. I was driving to B.B. Comer High School in Sylacauga, Alabama, but I was coming back from Memphis. So I had a 5-hour drive, and I got through Birmingham pretty early, and I had a little time to kill. So I pulled off at the Dairy Queen and got myself a Blizzard, and I was sitting there, and I was looking on YouTube, and this YouTube video popped up, and it's from Memphis Wrestling. I forgot what year it was, but it tracks. I think everybody knows that in Jerry Jarrett's office, and Michael and Randy have certainly seen this, and I've seen pictures of it. There's a sign that says "Personal issues draw money." Well, this issue is a personal issue, and it brings back some of the people who were involved in Memphis wrestling in the early days. And this angle, thanks to Ron Fuller, gives you a history of the Tennessee territory pre-Jerry Jarrett. And some of the issues that happened when Memphis brought up are brought up here, including a surprise visit from one of the former promoters. And Ron Fuller tells the story, and it's actually accurate to some
Fuller
degree.
tells,
And I thought it was very interesting. I thought everybody'd enjoy it.
Robert Fuller tells the story, right?
I think Ron's in it too. I think Ron's part of it too.
Okay.
One of the Fullers.
I
We'll see.
believe it's Jimmy Golden and Ron Fuller, but we'll see. I could be wrong too. I want to say hello to the greatest video guy of all time. He's the greatest in the history of the world. Love me some Randy Dandy, Randy West. Hello, Randy. And we'll go to the 9-minute, 28-second video. We'll discuss it coming up. This gives Michael St. John an opportunity to take the little break that he needs to take. 9 minutes, 28 seconds. This is interesting stuff, and we'll tell the story of Did It Draw. We'll tell that story as we watch that video.
We got enough right now, I think, Robert. You know, I heard about Tracy's mother. That's a touching moment. I know the crowds are real happy about it. Tracy's mother showing back up. I just hope Tracy's mother don't turn out like Jimmy Golden and be a no-show. But if he does, I don't know how long Tracy's mother's going to be healthy. Boy, I got y'all out here because I want to talk to you a little bit about my beloved CWA, this territory that belongs to me. I got a piece of film here, baby. It clears up everything, Jeff Jerry. It shows your daddy as the lying, stinking thief that he is. And rather than me stand here and babble, baby, put it on. Put it on.
All right, let's see it.
Being a third-generation wrestler, having been a
Hey, Bo.
son of my father, Buddy Fuller, is the son of Roy Welch, ran this thing for years and years and years, and established himself, along with this gentleman I'm sitting next to who needs no introduction, but I'm going to tell you, this is the great Nick Goulis, probably the greatest promoter of all time. I am privileged today to be sitting here beside this man and to clear up a very important problem, because everyone knows that I've told them weeks ago that CWA belongs to my family, and I maintain to get it back. I want to clear up the issue right now of what kind of man Jerry Jarrett is. Does he belong in CWA, or did he steal it? What kind of man is he, Nick?
And let me tell you, I known Jared when he started, when he come out of a little place over there working in a bicycle shop.
A bicycle shop,
That's right.
it.
He was working a bicycle shop, and I put him in the restaurant business and made him what he did. And truthfully, if anybody deserves the wrestling business, as far as the promotion, I think you deserve it better than anybody, because your grandfather was my partner for 42 years. That's
correct.
a long time.
That's correct.
And we had a lot of good times together, and we made good money together. Roy's dead and gone now, but I'll tell you, I think his nephews and his grandchildren should inherit what his daddy should have.
Well, I think you're right, Nick. I think if Roy's laying over there in Dyer, Tennessee, in his grave now, he's probably face down, because if he's been shambled for his business by a jerk good-for-nothing like Jerry Jarrett, I want to clear up right now that without a doubt that, Jarrett, you can bring up papers, man, and you can show them to the end of the world where you paid my father. You can say what you want to, but I think right now we've cleared up the whole situation, because people know in this area, Welch and Goulis, for years and years and years, the greatest promoter living on the face of the earth right now is sitting right next to me right here, and I'll tell you what, it's a happy day for me, because one day I want the opportunity to be just half the promoter that you are, Nick Goulis.
You deserve, I know, 4 good towns, especially Memphis. J.J. stole Memphis from me.
Sold it out from under
He
you.
stole it, and that's when Lance Russell was doing the commentating, and what's called was doing the announcing, Dave Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Then he stole Chattanooga from me. He stole Birmingham from me, and a bunch of other towns. I can't name them, I got so many of them. So that's why I say, if anybody deserves to inherit the territory, or deserves the cities to promote in, you deserve it, Robert.
Well, thank you, Nick, and I can say a thank you for your time, and I'm going to tell you something there, and you remember it, Jarrett. You don't shamble people out of what belongs to them. You don't bring phony papers out in front of us, baby, and try to tell these wrestling fans out here who owns what, that right here we have cleared up the message. You bring that punk out here to fool with my business again, brother, and I'm going to promise you one thing, that punk of yours is going to wind up 2 ways. He's going down to the hospital, and he's going to stay there a long time, or I got got a long box I'm going to put him in and sink him in the ground. He's not getting what's mine, Nick.
That's exactly right. You're right. If you have to hurt him bad, you better do it to take your business. Because y'all deserve every penny y'all get out of the wrestling business. Y'all work for it. Roy Welch and I, which was my partner for 42 years, he deserves to give his grandchildren this kind of business.
That's it. Closed issue. That settles it.
Before I bring him out here, I'm going to lay this out on the table. Jimmy Golden was raised with Robert Fuller in Dyersburg, Tennessee, and all across the Mid-South as their daddies were growing up, and both of them were wrestling. He's first cousins with Robert Fuller. His mother and Robert's daddy are brother and sister. So that means, Robert, Jimmy Golden knows you better than anybody else. And Jimmy, come on out here, and these people want to hear your side of the story. Here he is, Dave. I'm just going to step aside.
Hey, there he is. Jimmy Golden is here. You're right. All right. Jimmy, Jeff says you have something to say about this thing with Fuller.
I appreciate this time to clear up a few matters that's going to make me feel better. First of all, let me just start by saying that Robert Fuller, a lot of times, you know, we had a few differences, differential as Rob called it, and he always said that things was going to be his way or there wasn't going to be any way at all. So he had this big plan about how he was going to steal CWA away from Jerry Jarrett and the rest of the owners, whoever they might be. And I said, this is what we call a line right here, Robert. If it's going to be your way, then I'm going to have to drop you as a tag team partner, and I bowed out. Now, he said some things about our family.
Russell, I was around in that time period,
so I don't know. I lived with my grandfather on a farm in York, Tennessee, and I'm very proud to be his grandson. The man was a great man. A lot of people liked him and respected him in this area. Him and Herb Welch, Lester Welch, John Welch, all of them were respected a lot as far as I know around here. And I had a great deal of feelings for him myself, and I don't appreciate some of the things that he's been saying about him, that he was senile. He was not senile when he died. And by the way, he's laying face up, Robert. And I'd just like to say that as far as I know, that Jerry Jarrett, his dad and Robert's dad, Buddy Fuller, when they made a deal, Jerry paid him for his part of this business, and everybody was happy. The whole thing was settled, and that was all under the bridge. And
we saw the papers. They were both happy at the time. Is that what you're saying?
That's true. And so Robert has come out here and he's made a lot of statements about our grandparents, and him and his brother and his dad were Fullers. They called themselves Fuller in the wrestling business. They didn't go with the Welch name. They had different things to say about matters that came up, and they didn't always agree with what the Welches said, or they had different things, ways of putting things, and they just don't always say everything that they can for the Welches. Anyway, I'd like to say that the Welch side of the family that I know always stood up on a deal. They never welched out on it just because their name was Welch, and that I was very proud of them. And as far as I know, Jeff, that this thing was cleared and dried a long time ago, and nothing belongs to Robert Fuller.
What's happened to you, man? Did you lose your brains? Have you gone somewhere and lost your brains? Maybe the Alabama River flooded over down there and high water got into your head or something, because you're not thinking. You're out here telling lies, boy, and you know good and well they're lies. How come you bring me out here to try to stir up my family?
Don't come out here and insult me and call me a liar.
Let me tell you something. If you're going to come out here and meddle in my business, you should have thought of that before you dropped that belt. Before we had to give the belts up, son. You should have thought of it a long time ago. You're a bare-faced liar, or you wouldn't be out here meddling what is my family's business. I told you what I want to. If you come out Wait a second. We're cousins. Ain't no sense in fighting. Listen. Hell, we're cousins, and we've been cousins for a long time. Get in here.
Oh, come on, Robert. Mantell nailing Jeff Jarrett. Golden run into the ring post by cousin Robert Fuller. Yeah. Jimmy Golden out here on his own. Jeff didn't ask him to come out here. Jimmy called him earlier in the week and said, I'll clear this up for you. I know what happened. And Robert's not telling the truth. And it's giving the Welches a bad name. Here's Lord Humongous coming out with Frankie Lancaster and John Paul to help him out. And there goes Fuller. There goes Dutch.
That's you are, Robert Andy. That's what I call you, boy. I'm going to tell you something. I'm not going to call Eddie Marlin out here and ask him to put me on a card or change any card or anything, because that probably ain't going to happen. What I will promise you, though, punk, is I'm going to whip you. I'm going to be in the matches when they come match time, boy. I'm going to be right there in the Coliseum if I have to buy me a ticket, boy. And we're going to finish this fight out here that you just started, geek. I'm going to whip you, boy, like your mama should have whipped you a long time ago, boy. And as far as for that hag that you bring to the ring with you that you call a ballet, I got something for her, too. I've rode up and down the road with them people, Dave Brown, and I never heard such belly aching and whining in all my life. Well, now, boy, we're going to settle this match that you just started out right here. We're going to finish it when it comes match time. Be ready for it.
All right, Jimmy says.
All right, let's start with Michael's comments, then we'll go Chris, then we'll let the instigator of this whole mess, Pat Tram, will close it up with the third take. First take, Michael St. John.
I'd just gotten back from Phoenix, Arizona programming out there when all this came up, and I went, whoa, we know the background story of this. Personal issues do raise interest and supposedly draw money. I'm not so sure this drew any money, but it made for some very interesting TV. And I remember the interview that Robert did with Nick Goulas, God rest his soul. And I'll never forget Jerry Jarrett. And in fact, Randy West can vouch for this. Jerry Jarrett's watching that interview that Robert did. And I happened to be witness of when that got watched. And Jerry made the comment. He said, Robert was working, but Nick was shooting. And so that all goes back to a lot of this guy said this, that guy said that on both sides of the family. But when you look about it, Randy, the fact of the matter is Roy Welch and the Fullers, the Goldens, the Fields, they were all interrelated. There were cousins and all that good stuff. But Nick Goulas was like family at one time with all of them together. And then when Jerry broke off, I think, Nick was sore because the territory was going to hell. And Roy, I think at the time when Jerry ended up breaking off in Memphis, I think Roy was actually in a nursing home, and there were some family circumstances going on, but it created I won't say bad blood, but just it wasn't a good feeling. And I think this 10 years later was the afterbirth of all of that.
Chris, you saw this for the first time. Thoughts?
Yeah, I'd never seen it before. Unusual to see Golden and Fuller on opposite sides of the fence. I was a huge Jimmy Golden fan and always thought he was underutilized and underrated, in my opinion. I'd never seen the interview with Nick Goulas, but I know this based on what Michael said there. You mess with people's money, there's going to be hard feelings. You start impacting people's livelihood. That's why I always say business is business. You say, well, they're like family or they were buddies or whatever. When it comes to people's money, there's no such thing. People's money's people's money, and they don't get over it. So, Nick, I agree that Nick was probably shooting there because he acted like he was really pissed. He started naming off all these towns and towns he couldn't remember. So, but I'm not a big Robert Fuller fan, but I'm a Jimmy Golden fan.
Can I add something just real quick, Randy, to what Coach just said? Okay. Jimmy Golden being underused or whatever, in talking to Jimmy and knowing Jimmy back in those days, Jimmy didn't like to travel. Jimmy was a hometown boy. He was from Montgomery. He liked to stay pretty close to town. And a lot of it, I know there was a lot of times that they wanted to book Louisville or book in Knoxville or whatever. And Jimmy was hesitant to travel. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Pat, you instigated this whole subject, so you can take this where you want to take it right now.
Well, it was a great idea, and I had it all in my mind when I came up with it. But let me clarify a couple things. I did not just pull that up. Ron Fuller was talking about on the Studcast, and it was a random episode I was listening to riding down the road, and I pulled over and I looked this up, and he was talking about this angle and the real history of the Welch family in wrestling. Now, Jerry was right. Nick was shooting. I mean, Cornette makes this, Nick was crushed for a couple of reasons when this happened. Number one, I think everybody knows, and I have not seen the numbers, but I think it's fairly common knowledge that at the time Jerry split off, Memphis was by far carrying the promotion. and it was a national wrestling alliance territory. And Jim Cornette's made the point that, you know, nobody was a more loyal member of the NWA than Nick Gulas. And, you know, the NWA board was specifically designed to keep this kind of stuff from happening. And, you know, Cornette has made the comment, every business card, and Michael, you can speak to this, every business card, every every poster for every match from the Tennessee territory had National Wrestling Alliance on it 6 ways to Sunday. And, you know, Jerry was able, through his friendship with Eddie Graham, by his admission to me, was able to talk the NWA board into putting him in, granting him the Memphis territory. Now, Eddie Graham recommended that he bring Buddy Fuller in as a silent partner to appease the Welches. And he did that. But it's you know, I was friends with Jerry later in his life and spent a little bit of time with him and talked to him on the phone a good bit. I mean, the fact of the matter is Jerry Jarrett stole the Memphis territory. There's no question about that in the parlance of what wrestling territories are and the way the NWA worked. Nick was absolutely right. He was shooting. Jerry stole the territory. But it was interesting to me they would bring this up as an angle, and everybody seemed to be okay with it, including Nick. And I hope Nick got, you know, a mid-Carter's handshake for it.
Let me clarify that there's two sides to every story, and certainly it was all George Gulas related, because Nick said to Jerry Jarrett, said, hey, book my son in Memphis, and Jerry Jarrett said, that's the only thing in the territory that's making money. No. And then he says, well, I'm the boss and I told you. And Jerry said, I own part of this company. He said, no, boy, you don't. He said, I bought it. He said, you bought a option, and that's all. In Jerry Jarrett's mind, he didn't steal the territory. He took, and you know me, I'm not a fan of Jerry Jarrett. So, you know, I'm not one to go on the show, but, you know, to just say that Jerry Jarrett stole the territory, everybody's going to have their opinion.
Well,
certainly that's not Jerry Jarrett's opinion that he stole the territory. He took what was his.
I stand corrected on the way I said that. I did not mean that in the most diabolical way, and you're absolutely right on the option. Now, I never saw that option, obviously, but yes, I think that has something to do with it, and I think obviously the issue with George and Michael, I don't know if you were around again, probably stirred everything up.
Well, first of all, the George Gulas thing, I think, was the linchpin of everything happening. And going back to when Jerry put money into Nick's territory into the promotion, Nick was on his Nick was not doing well and needed an infusion of money, and they even agreed on using the same lawyer for both sides to write up the deal, Cecil Brandstetter, and Cecil later became Jerry Jarrett's lawyer for the territory. But there was an underlying condition here going to, and there was a rub between the NWA's office in St. Louis and Nick Gulas. And it all had to do, and I've been told this from two different angles, so I think it's pretty true, with paying for the transportation and the expenses of the world heavyweight champion when he came into the territory. Because when they brought the world champion into the territory, it was specified that the promoter would pay for his travel, his trans, and the expenses while he was there, plus pay a fee to the NWA office for the quote-unquote use of the world heavyweight champion for a week or 10 days or whatever to make the rounds in the territory. And Nick apparently to hear Sam Munchnick say it, Nick screwed him over trans for Harley Race. And that made Race bitter at Nick. And then when all this came about, the NWA, and being that Sam had a burr in his saddle about Gulas, chinsing him out of travel for Harley, he sided, and I think he was quick to go with Jerry. So, and Randy, you're 100% right. There are two sides to every story, but the George Gulas thing was the sort of the straw that broke the camel's back. Everything had been headed that direction until that caused the blow up. And then that's when Nick pulled out the contract and said, you sold an option. And that pissed Jerry off. And Jerry said, to hell with it, I'm taking over Memphis. And then he took Louisville with him because his mother was involved in Louisville. That's sort of the ground that's sort of the lay of the land that I got from being around when that happened. And to be honest with you, I was in Memphis when it happened. I did the shows at the Cook Convention Center for Jerry Jarrett and Jerry Lawler for the first 3 weeks they were there, or for 3 weeks, may have not been the first 3, but for 3 weeks when they were there. And then a year later, I moved to Nashville. I get to know Nick. I get to know Nick through George, and I ended up doing the play-by-play for Nick. So, I don't think there's any blame here. I think it was a mess going into it, and I think Jerry Jarrett ended up fixing things to his benefit and to the company's benefit after he took it over.
Now,
I would love to see that contract.
Well, Cecil Brandstetter has passed away. I don't know if it's still around, but boy, if somebody has a copy of it, I don't know. Bo James may know where it is. I bet George Gulas knows where it is.
I would really, really, really would like to see that, just because number one, and I know, I mean, Jerry was a smart businessman, but of course he was young then when all that happened. But I have, it's no secret what I've done for a living for the last 30 years. So I've read plenty of business contracts. I would just like to see how that section of it was worded. And I mean, it doesn't seem to me that there could be very much gray area in that at all if a real attorney drew that up. And I would just be really curious to see how that.
One of the things I wonder about, and I've always asked this question, and I don't really have a clear answer about it, was the role that Jerry's mother played in all of this. In that she was running Louisville for Nick, and she was a loyalist to Nick Gulas and to Roy Welch. But and then all of a sudden this all happens. I had heard that there was some consternation between Jerry and his mom when Jerry decided to take over Memphis. Now, I haven't heard the whole story of that. And again, I've heard it from, one or two people, but I heard that there was some difficult days, let's say, with Jerry and his mother. And then ultimately Louisville came over because blood's thicker than water. And I think his mother was a wonderful person and was not going to cheat anybody out of anything.
All right, Pat, are you satisfied now with how we covered what you wanted us to cover today?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for doing that. I hope it was interesting to everybody as it was to me.
I would just like to clarify a couple things. The one thing about Nick was saying that Jarrett stole. He didn't steal anything, is my point in the thing, and I'm not a Jerry Jarrett defender. I want to make that absolutely clear. However, in this case, first of all, Nick said he stole Chattanooga. He didn't even run Chattanooga, maybe once or twice, but not on a regular basis. Didn't run Birmingham. Jerry Jarrett and Christine Jarrett own the majority of Lexington, Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky, and Evansville, Indiana. So it was just a big, big, big mess. And always the case back then, folks. Who has the TV is going to be the winner. Who has TV and a strong TV is going to win a wrestling wrestling war every single time. Hey, we'll get into 1985. We talked 85, did part 1 of 85 last week. We talked about the fact that 85 was a year that in my mind I was thinking is the beginning of the end. As we're doing this deep dive into it, there's a lot of good stuff in 1985. There really is. Started the year off Lawler book, and then Tom Ernesto came in. That didn't last long. He became Jerry Jarrett's assistant. Then Jerry Jarrett made a deal with Jim Crockett. They ran the Great American Bash in September. And then at that point, Tom Ernesto's still around. We saw Hill promoter Tom Ernesto in a closing video last week. Then Bill Dundee, who had a great run in Mid-South Wrestling for Bill Watts, was brought back in to this territory and came back as a babyface, switched back heel. They went back and forth, but it ended up at the end of the year where loser leave town match take 2, Jerry Lawler, Bill Dundee. If Lawler lost, he loses his hair, or he leaves town. He leaves town. Then if Dundee loses, he leaves town. And his if he lost, Dundee lost, his wife gets her hair shot, and that sold out. So in 1985, many sellouts. So 85 was not a bad a year, as I thought it was. Some real good stuff. Before we go to this first video, any comments on that setup for 85? Anything stand out at you?
I think you're right about 85 being an underrated year for good wrestling. I really do. I think there was some great wrestling. My question is, did the attendance in Memphis and throughout the territory reflect that?
Now, I'm sorry, I was looking at some of these notes. Ask me the question again.
I was just saying that I think you're right. I personally think 85 was an underrated year for great wrestling in the Memphis territory. My question is, did the attendance in the box office reflect that as 85 went on?
It just depended on the town. Memphis was hit and miss. There was major stuff at the end of the year. There was a Sheep Herder Fabulous Ones program that did draw money. I always just thought it was the worst year ever, and it really wasn't. And I thought it was a bad creative year, and it was not at all. We're going to see, because we've covered the 77 Lawler Dundee feud, the 83 that led to, what's that date, Chris, your favorite match ever?
6/6/83.
All right.
Greatest wrestling match of all time.
June 6, 1983, Lawler Dundee, loser leave town, a sellout. 85, they did good stuff. We're going to take our time on this, folks, and there's no way we're going to get through all this. By the way, Pat, I know you want to get out on that strip and make me $1 million, maybe $1 billion. You want to do that. So anytime you have to leave, just let us know. We want to go.
If I go out on that strip, the women won't let me alone.
All right, listen, old cocky. You're just saying that. You're talking bad and big because you know Suzanne's not. She's at home in Birmingham, not watching the show. She's not at your door like she usually is. With the glass to the door, listening to you. You wouldn't say that if you were in your house.
My question is, when I'm in Vegas, and I know what you're talking about, Pat. My question is, how much?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Adam, one of the earlier videos on the video list that's up there, it says best number 1. This is the best of Lawler Dundee feud 1985. This is part 1, and I believe part 1 is 3 minutes 55 seconds. We won't get through everything today, but by the time we wind this thing up, we'll close with the December 30th, 1985 Beverly Dundee's hair at stake, and it was that loser leave town match, and that drew a sellout at the Mid-South Coliseum. The best, number 1.
Championship wrestling right up there in high cotton, so we brought him out here. One of the great tag teams of all time, Jerry the King Lawler and Bill Superstar Dundee. Okay, the greatest. Okay.
Now, to quote a friend of mine, I guess you could call him a friend of mine, remember Handsome Jimmy used to say, whoo, Well, I feel good today, remember? Well, I feel good today, and I'm going to do a little, I guess you could call it bragging, because, okay, if you all tuned in a couple of weeks ago, somebody said to me, you're going to wrestle Jerry Lawler. I said, yeah, I'm going to wrestle Jerry Lawler, because he wants to be the world's champion, and I want to be the world's champion. We're going to have a little match to decide who's going to wrestle the world's champion, see? So then, some client runs in, jumps in, makes Jerry mad, makes me mad, so we get up and we fight him. So we become a tag team. And let me tell you, folks, for years, we was the best tag team around here. We done whooped them all, brother. And if they lined them up now, we could do it again. If you took the Road Warriors, Jerry and I could whoop them. If you took the Freebirds, Jerry and I could whoop them. If you took the Rock and Roll Express, Jerry and I could whoop them. We whooped Joe LeDuc, Jean-Louis, the Valiant Brothers. We done whooped them all. We could beat the Fabulous Ones. We could beat the Sheep Herders. We could whoop everybody, brother. Now, I know some people saying, well, he's bragging today. He's all fired up. Yeah, but if you got something good, you tell the peoples, brother. The King and the Superstar, when they're on, Jack, they're the best there is. And that's all I got to say.
Well, right now, we're going to take a look at just how good they are when they're going against Taurus Bulba and the Stomper, and this is quite something. Take a look at it. Nate, the Superstar, Bill Dundee on the top rope, all the way down, and nails the Stomper right in the lower back. Count of one. And as Bulba was going to catch him with that elbow, Bill grabbed the rope, swirled around. Here's the tag. Lawler hits the ring. There's that strap down. King ready to do it now. Tag on Bill. Dundee nails the Stomper. Bam! Billy hammering him around, and there goes Dundee for the top rope. Slammed into the table. Dollar over on top of the Stomper. Ernesto just got hit. Dundee's got Bulba. He got him. Boy, so much action going on. 11 minutes, 5 seconds. The winners, Dundee and Lawler.
What to tell you, Lancer? Play that sucker again, brother. That's poetry in motion. Now, I forgot about them two goofs. We beat the Stomper and Bulba, just like I said we last week. And I'm telling you, brother, well, I'm bragging for him or bragging for me, it don't make no never mind. When we're together, we're the best there is, and we can whip them out.
Enthusiastic partner.
You gonna let me talk too?
Yeah, okay, Jerry.
Well, all I can say, I don't have a whole lot to add to that. I think Bill's just about said it all. But he's a little confident. He's a little cocky, but that's the kind of partner you need when you're in a tag team situation, especially against guys like Bulba and the Stomper there. And, this is the hotbed for tag team wrestling.
Yeah,
I told Bill before, he came in here. It's no secret. I know that I'm not the only one that wants to be the world heavyweight champion. Bill would like to be it too. We had our match before. I hope that's in the past, and now we'll go on to bigger and better things as a tag team.
By golly, I'll tell you what, we're glad to see you back.
Play that tape again, Lancer.
Okay. Bill Dundee, Jerry the King Lawler, and I'll tell you one thing. If confidence will get it, there's a guy who can flat build it up on confidence, because Dundee has got it all. He's ready to whip the whole world. I think he wants all of them in there at one time. Well,
Bill Dundee debuted in Memphis, Tennessee in the year 1975. Had a lot of memorable years for the entire year. I think 85, especially in his promos, this was Bill Dundee's best year, and we'll see a lot of that stuff. Pat, we've been ending with you. We'll let you react to the video we just saw right there.
Well, the thing that just struck me is, as of this year, Bill will have been in Memphis 50 years, half a century. But I love in retrospect, and I would have loved to watch it live, those two tag teaming, because we know where this is headed. And it's just great to kind of watch them work together. And there's a little bit of, of competition between them, even when they're tag partners. You can just kind of feel it. I love that.
Now, Pat is broadcasting from Las Vegas. Bo wanted to know if you've been on Fremont Street.
Now, I am on Las Vegas Boulevard in the Treasure Island Hotel and Casino. My trade show is the Shooting, Hunting, and Outdoor Trade Show. It's in the Venetian across the street.
Very good.
You're in the right city for shooting, that's for sure.
I'm telling you.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
right.
wanted to let everybody know Pat broadcasting a lot further away than he normally is, and he's freezing up on his video, but he is not freezing up on his audio at all. It's coming and going. Chris, I'll let you react to that video, and then we'll go with Michael.
Well, they say that the best wrestlers are really themselves, and by all accounts of what y'all have told me, that's really Bill right there. That's really who he was, and he's not having to play the part. And of course, Lawler plays off of him. They have such great chemistry that Lawler plays off of him perfectly. All put over by Lance's ringmaster. He's the ringmaster.
Michael Clark asked, did Lawler and Dundee draw money as a tag team or their singles? They drew money as a tag team, but the single rivalry, and especially the blow-offs, the 3 or 4 blow-offs they had of the different series, certainly it's that. They're saying there's no doubt about it. Michael, we'll let you comment on that video, and we have 13 or 14 videos we won't get today, but we want to get through as many as possible. So your comment on that video.
Pure gold. Coach, you're right. Pat, you're right. Just pure gold. Those guys were golden. And you know, it's great when you have a situation where in a city, in a town, you get some kind of personality, whether it be a wrestler or a boxer or a sports figure, baseball player, football player, whatever, that owns the town. And I don't think there are any athletes in the history of Memphis, Tennessee, in my era, in our era, that own the town like Jerry Lawler and like Bill Dundee. And when they were together, they were magic. And when they were killing each other, they were magic.
All right, part 2 of this exciting Lawler Dundee best of 85.
And it's Steve, the fabulous one.
And it made me a millionaire. What's up, Coach?
Okay, wait till Tennessee and hop on over here. I want to talk a little bit about that unusual rugby scrum match that's coming up with the sheep herders. And they create that excitement no matter where they go. So here they come, the fabulous.
Man, I would say the Blonde Bombers, Larry Latham and Wayne Ferris, the Honky Tonk Man.
Obviously, those guys never watched ESPN or the National Football League, or even Australian rules or rugby. Did you see those two guys out there goofing around? They're like two pennyweights playing Smear the Queer or something. I can't believe it. Let me tell you something. If they want to do that, it won't be any problem Monday night, brother. We'll go up there. Anything. Can you believe those two guys?
Yeah. Now the idea, though, is that one of you is going to be end up on the end of a handcuff.
One of us is handcuffed, right? Okay. The other guy goes for the ball. If the ball goes out in the crowd, they crack and throw it back to whoever they want to.
Whoever they want to. They don't have to give it back to the referee.
Okay. I like that. That's better.
So if you got some friends out there, Steve, we want to be sure they throw it back to you guys.
Okay. Lance, there's one thing, though. Before we get started here and any more about the sheep herders, I'd like to clear one thing up. It's one thing to come out and say something, and it's another thing to do it. I'm not saying anything wrong's been said, but, a lot of people watch television and they believe everything they hear right off the bat, no matter who's saying it. And, this is kind of a touchy situation. I realize this. I hope the fans will understand where I'm coming from. But, in the field of professional wrestling, when you're the champions, we're not wearing the belts out here. We're not braggadocious. We're not showing off or anything. The idea is we are the champions. It's understood. But I'll tell you something, thank you. I'll tell you something, when you get out here and somebody else comes out and says they can beat you or, gives that kind of impression, it's kind of hard to accept that, like we have wrestled a lot of teams. We have been beat before, but we've beaten a lot of teams too. But, earlier Bill came out here, and it's one thing for him and Jerry Lawler to say they can beat the Road Warriors, they can beat the Rock and Roll, and they can beat the Fabulous Ones. But there's another thing about doing it. And, I just want everybody to understand that they've never wrestled us. There's no problem. They've never wrestled us. And to say they can beat us is just saying it, and right now that's where we're at. Is that understood?
Yeah, I understand.
And if they want to wrestle us, we'll be glad to wrestle them.
We're happy to. I mean, you know, that's what it is about being the champion. If you're going to be the champion.
You're going to be the dog. Billy's a little hyper today, I think.
I'm making no idle statement. I was around here a long time. Just because Jackie Fargo woke up one morning still wanted to be in the wrestling business, picks you and picks you, makes your team. And you're a good team. I'm not taking nothing off you. You're a real good team, brother, but so is me and Lawler, Steve. Okay? And I just think if you had signed the match, we can beat you.
Hey, we didn't say nothing, Bill. All we said is you haven't beaten us yet. It's just as simple as that.
We can soon fix that up, Daddy. Just climb right in that little... Lawler, get out here!
No.
He's full of it.
Let's do a match like
I think all he was
for breakfast this morning, huh?
I think all he was trying to say, Billy, was the fact that you guys have not beaten
This
them
is great
yet.
stuff.
That's the point
Just
he
shut
was
up. Blow that bugle and shut up, Daddy. I'm doing the talking here. Lawler, will you get out of here? They're challenging us to a match, and you ain't going for it, boy.
Hey, wait a minute, Lance. We did not challenge anybody to a match. All we did is come out here and defend the point that we have not been beat by this man or Jerry the King Lawler. That's all we're saying.
Where you going, baby? You just haul his can out here. Lawler, I need you, boy. They're challenging me to a match. Will you get out of here?
Billy, I think the whole point has been misconstrued here. They're just simply saying that we're about to have a match here, and that ain't even what we were talking about. We were talking about something entirely different than that.
The challenge is to a match, my boy. Come on, let's get up there.
I think there's some misunderstanding about this whole thing.
No, I saw that. Yeah, I do realize that. Look, Bill, I don't know what to say except calm down a little bit. These guys, they haven't challenged anybody to a match. Look, I mean, you know, I got to agree with Stan. I don't know what you had for breakfast this morning, but I got out on the wrong side of the bed, but just calm down. Look.
Calm down, nothing. I just believe, no, I don't believe. I know we're the best. Crawl up in the ring. Let's go. Come on.
Hey, come on, Bill. We got a whole program here for crying out loud.
I told you once.
There's a million people out there saying I'm bragging, Jack. I ain't bragging. I'm the best there is, and we can whoop their two crowds. Just because Jackie Fargo said they're great, that don't mean nothing, man. Anybody can buy a hat, fancy jacket, play music. We'll play the music now. Get up in the ring.
Bill, hey, if you want
No problem. I just want to clear something up, Daddy.
Well, let's get
I want to
out
know
here, and then we'll sign some contracts. But, you know,
if you're just chicken, just say so. We want.
Oh, come on now. Don't get into that
Look,
stuff.
Bill,
You
look,
guys.
I'm not chicken of anybody. These guys have made a legitimate point. You come out here and you're telling everybody we've beaten the Road Warriors, we've beaten the Fabulous Ones. We've never wrestled the Fabulous Ones.
But if we did, we could beat them.
Well, yeah, but I told you once before, I'm not afraid of the guys. They're great wrestlers. But I don't like matches like that. I told you I don't like wrestling against you. I certainly wouldn't like wrestling against these guys because I don't like to be in a match where the people have a hard time deciding who they're going to be for. Now, look, as far as I'm concerned, these guys, Steve and Stan, they have the Southern Tag Team titles. They're the Southern Tag Team champions. So let's face it, they're the best tag team. I got the Southern Heavyweight Championship. That symbolizes I'm supposed to be the best single wrestler. They're the best tag team. Let's leave it at that.
Oh, now you all got belts. Where does that leave me, Daddy? I ain't got nothing. So what you're telling me is you're a champion. We're champions. You ain't nothing, little boy. You ain't getting... Well, come on here, Daddy, and I'll whoop the whole lot of you, Jack. How are you going to get me a belt?
Billy, that's not exactly the point about it. You're misconstruing everything again. What they're just trying to simply say is there's a way to handle things and there's a way not to handle. You want to jump in
the ring and do it.
Well, there will be a time for
There's plenty of jerks around like Stomper and Pritchard and Rose and Bulba and Bota. We don't have to wrestle guys like the Fabulous Ones to prove anything.
Jerry, if you're scared, just say I'm scared. I don't want to wrestle. No, that's be fine. I'll quite understand.
Billy, he didn't say that. You guys have got a match coming up today against Pritchard and Rose.
Yeah,
Why
we
don't
whoop
you
them too, but I want to whoop their two just to prove a point.
Billy, okay. No. Listen. Will you guys please let us get on with it? The Fabs have got a match coming up. We'll see you out in your match.
What is wrong anyway, Bill? What's the problem? We don't have anything to wrestle. I mean, we don't have any reason to wrestle these guys or anything. It's no reason to do that.
If you're just scared, just say you're scared.
I'm not scared. Let me just say this. I don't want to wrestle them, and as far as I'm concerned, I don't want to be your partner anymore.
Hell will you?
Whoa!
Here we go.
Wow.
Boy, I'm telling you.
I'll tell you something, Lance. I don't know what Bill Dundee's problem is. Maybe it's a short man's complex, or maybe it's something else. But we're not scared of the guy, and if he's come back here to make some big, respected name for himself, he's got more than an opportunity. All he's got to do is get a new partner now, because I'm sure Jerry Lawler will have nothing to do.
I am certain that is a fact right now, and we're sorry about it all happening again. Okay, if we can get the Fabs in there, Dave, let's get a legitimate match going in the ring here, and Dundee going absolutely bananas today out here. Okay, the Fabs are up there. We're ready for the competition.
I think after we watch this entire series over the next few weeks, I think there's no doubt if we give our MVP a lot of great talent, the fabulous ones, Jerry Lawler, the MVP of this year, Bill Superstar Dundee. That was just tremendous. We'll start with Michael, we'll go with Chris, then we'll go with Pat Trammell on Talking Memphis Wrestling. Mike?
You know, you see it coming. And Bill with that feisty, that ego, that, you know, that's of all the heel turns in wrestling that you watch, when you watch this one, there is a uniqueness of this that you've never seen before. And I think it's so hard, especially in today's wrestling for sure. But back even in those days, so much was regurgitated. So much was an angle that was shot here or shot there and did a little different way and a little different. And that, you know, it got sort of monotonous. But then you see something fresh, something that comes off the cuff, something like this, and you go, wow, that's genius. And that's exactly what I thought about that.
Chris Ellis, Talking Memphis Wrestling.
I got 2 points on that. I always call it the art form. That's the art form. Watching Bill do that right there, just off the cuff, ad lib. I mean, that's unbelievable. And Randy said the MVP. He carried the whole segment. He set the stage for the whole deal. And my sidebar point to that would be this: the Fabs were good. Lawler and Dundee were great, and you just saw why. Stan and Steve cannot get on the mic and carry that segment and make all that happen. They couldn't. They were talented athletes. They had their own thing that worked for them, but Dundee was at a whole different level, and that right there, that segment proves it.
All right. So we've had Michael. Michael, you got your word in, right?
Yes.
Chris, you got your word in. Here's Pat Trammell in Las Vegas, Nevada. Pat, your thoughts?
You know, I echo a lot of what Michael and Chris both said, but, you know, I'm sitting there thinking and watching, you know, and look, you can't take anything away from Jerry Lawler in Memphis, okay, at all. But Dundee, the way they played off each other, even as tag team partners, you know, you could smell the rivalry even when they were partners, and the heat and Bill's insecurity, and he expresses that so naturally. And you know, they say there's a little bit of truth in all fiction, and that's probably the way he saw that relationship personally. I mean, I've never talked to him about it. I'm sure, you know, Randy, you've ridden 100,000 miles with him, but I mean, you know, it'd be hard if you were as good and as accomplished at what you've done with Bill Dundee. You know, you can have the greatest match of your life, and Jerry Lawler's gonna headline that night, and that's got to be frustrating.
All right, I want to clarify. Pat's in Las Vegas, and his audio is great. His video keeps freezing up. We can still hear every word you're saying. So obviously we have that, and that's fantastic. Part 3 of this series of 1985 is 12 minutes and 10 seconds. Part 3, Lawler Dundee. We'll see what's up next.
And going against Bill. Now, we don't need any more trouble.
Refuse me, I refuse that coward. Lawler's scared of the Fabs. He's scared of me. He'd even be scared of them two. You two get out of the ring, I'll come in and whoop the both of you. Jerry Lawler!
Come on, Billy. Now, you just come out here looking for trouble.
On the other end, see this little key here?
I see
That's
it.
the key to a custom-made car sitting out there, $25,000 sports car. Jerry Lawler, if you'll just bring that shiny little bell out, climb up in that ring, brother. And you can beat me, I'll give you that. Dave Brand, you hold on to that. Give him the Lawler if he wins. You two get out of the ring because I'm fixing the wrestle.
Boy, absolutely out of control this morning. Billy is sitting here saying he'll put up the keys to a $25,000 sports car out there if Jerry Lawler can come out here and
all
beat
them
him.
rednecks out there think you're a king because that's exactly what you are. King of the rednecks, Daddy. Well, I ain't no redneck, and you ain't no king. See what it says on the back, Jack? Superstar, that's it. I done told you, Jack. All your family.
I am not at all opposed to seeing Lawler and Dundee go for the Southern Heavyweight title. But,
who said? You ain't never
the ring is where the action should be involved with, Jerry. Now, just how about stopping right here?
How about stopping right here? You're real tough when you can sucker punch somebody, aren't you, Dundee?
Come on, Jack, I'll do it again.
What is he talking about? What are you saying there?
That custom car out there, Jack, cost 25 grand. The people out there couldn't afford the paint job. Neither could you, Lawler. You drive around in some van that some redneck down here gave to you. You want to drive a real car? Beat me. Put the belt on the line. And you got it, Daddy. You drive some Chevrolet van that some goofy Chevy company gave you so you could advertise it on the Jerry Lawler show. Hello, folks. I'm Jerry Lawler. I drive a little Chevy car. Come on, Daddy. Drive a real car. There it is. Get up in the ring.
He is out of control today.
Yeah, he's totally out of control, man. He's an idiot. Let me tell you something, Dundee. First of all, that's how much you know it's a Dodge. It's not a Chevrolet. And
Same thing.
Tell you something else. I've seen your car.
Yeah, you like to drive it too, wouldn't
and it ain't worth $25,000. It ain't worth 25 cents, if you ask me.
Oh, it ain't, huh?
That's a Chevrolet is exactly what it is. Now, let me tell you something.
Yeah, but it's a custom one started off, Jack.
I got all the cars and all the vans that I need, and your car don't mean 25 cents to me. You see this title right here? Just like I told you a while ago, the Fabulous Ones are the Southern Tag Team Champions. That means they're the best tag team, and this right here means I'm the best single wrestler around these parts, brother.
You know,
and I know how bad you'd like to get your hands on this belt, but you're not getting it today, Dundee.
You know the only reason is because we wouldn't wrestle him, and the only reason you're to come in because you won't wrestle me if you don't want my car, Lawler.
He don't want your car. You get that idea?
I'll give you a little deal. See this beautiful black hair, Jack? You did it once before, but you can't do it again. I'll put this right here, in this chair, in that ring, if you can whoop me today on television. Come on, Daddy, you can't back down now. You used the car for an excuse because you're a coward. What about it, Lawler? You can't do it, boy.
Oh, man. Here's a guy who walked around bald following one of those big outrageous comments.
Let me tell you something, fat girl. Sit down over there. I don't want you on my side. I don't want none of you rednecks on. Jared, get out of this ring before I kill you.
Let me ask you, wait a minute, Dundee. Let me get one thing straight. You're telling me, now, Eddie Marlin's not here today, is that right? No, but there's somebody here that can enforce this.
Banana nose can.
You're telling me that if we have a title match right now, and I beat you, you're going to sit in that chair in the middle of that ring right now on television and shave your head?
Right now, where 10 million people can watch, Daddy, right now.
You mean if he beats you, you're not going to get up and run out of here? You make that dumb sure that he's not going to run out of here if you get that kind of a match.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Lance. Hey, Dundee. I'll tell you something, Dundee. I'm going to accept your challenge, and I'm fixing to make you look just as stupid as you sound out here. Do you understand that?
Now, the deal is, and everybody's got to understand it, Dundee has agreed that should he lose this match, he will have his hair cut right in the middle of the ring, Jerry. Now, that's it.
We're not talking cut. We're talking
shave right in the middle of the ring. And if he wins it, he becomes the new Southern Heavyweight title. We've got the title right here. This is on the line. It'll be
the clip we are showing today
so far. 60-minute time limit.
Watch that Fuller Family Feud. We have watched this in This old video of Lawler 1985. We are not now seeing a Southern title versus Bill Dundee's hair. This is why Video Wrestling from Memphis, Tennessee, live with Vibes and Bees. This is why this is the highest rated wrestling show on television. You guys agree with that statement?
Lawler off his feet.
Absolutely.
Dundee with a boot to the side of the head.
Yep.
I don't think you're going to see any finesse here. Maybe not.
When you tuned in every week, you never knew what you might see.
Two of absolutely the gut toughest guys I have ever seen
TV.
anywhere in
It's
Dundee,
Saturday, 11 o'clock.
proving it just knocked Lawler flat on his back. Jerry kicked out. And before it's over with, I can assure you, regardless of who wins, they will both be beat up. That is the history of the Lawler-Dundee confrontation. Look at Dundee slugging.
Some of the roughest battles in the history of the territory or history of professional wrestling, perhaps, have been against these two guys.
You are absolutely right, Dave.
Dundee around behind. He raked his fingers down across Lawler's back, grabs him across the throat. Lawler puts his head into the turnbuckle. And choke again by Dundee. Make no mistake, those are not open hands they're using either. Doubled up right fist. How?
Now the referee's saying keep your fist open. He can forget that one because there is no way. I have never seen these guys not just knock each other's block off. Look at Lawler go.
Ooh, boy, just dropped him in his tracks is what he did.
In case you just tuned in, let me tell you that Bill Dundee, and I don't think this is only an opinion of mine, Dundee came out just ruined for a fight today. He ended up, after a lot of comments of insulting Lawler, insulting the Fabulous One, he slugged Lawler, pushed the Fabulous Ones around, then came out here, tried to get Lawler into a title match right here on television, and he misses the flying press. Lawler goes under him. And he tried to get him in by putting his car up. Lawler said, I don't want that piece of junk. I wouldn't bother to even wrestle you for it. But then Dundee said, I'll put my hair in. A good move by Billy. Lawler was about to get disqualified on that pile driver. Dundee converted it and popped Lawler over.
8 years since the very first part one of the Lawler-Dundee feud.
Believe me, if he loses this match, he's going to live up to it right here
in
and
1985, live on television, Lawler-Dundee going after it, title versus heat.
Also, if Dundee wins, he gets that title. The belt is on the line, the Southern Heavyweight Championship.
Great job, and we're going to come back to me for a major win.
Drops him off his feet, shoulders down, count
a major win that just came to my head. Something I heard today. Major win, then we'll go with the panel and they'll discuss this match. Fast-paced match. They say Memphis Wrestling would just walk and talk. Bullshit to that. Bullshit to that. Watch this, people. The best that's ever done it. This holds up in 2025. Just like it did in the match took place. A Bulldog by Dundee.
Most of the arenas in the United States and never see a main event like this. We've got it right here today for you on Championship Wrestling. Dundee and Lawler for the Southern Heavyweight title. It is a hair match with Dundee's hair at stake.
A match that was not scheduled, but boy, that certainly doesn't lessen the desirability of it, let me tell you.
Michael, you think the people's getting their money's worth? Hell, they got in free.
Let me make the comment just say that at some point, obviously, we're going to have to start putting our brakes in. We'll stay right here with it. We'll have all of it for you. Any important thing happens when we're away on a break, it'll be on tape. What's Dundee doing? He's got something out of his trunk. Misses Lawler.
Looked to me like a chain that he wrapped around his fist.
And raked him in the eye. He beat Lawler.
He got him.
Bill Dundee wins it. Dundee wins the Southern Heavyweight title. I still don't know. He grabbed him in the eye or something. It looked like he had
something wrapped around his fist and looked like he raked him across the eyes with it. It looked like a little chain of some sort.
Lawler has lost the Southern Heavyweight title right here. We're going to have to take time out and check. What a stunning situation. I was looking for a haircut today, and the King has dropped the Southern Heavyweight belt. He said the referee's gone, Jerry, to check on it right now. We're going to take time out. I don't know. We saw him get something. Woof. Why don't we take a break here, and let's take time out, and we'll be back and check with the referee. Jerry, we're going to check on it.
I'm Randy Hills, and we'll get the panel's thoughts on that great segment in a minute. But for the first time in quite some time, it's time for Randy's Rants. And I have something to rant about, and it's something that I thought about the last couple of days, and it was something I was just going to let go. I know this is a packed show. I know we have a lot of stuff, and we have a lot of classic stuff. But what this is going to be is a defense of Memphis Wrestling, a defense of the glory days of Memphis Wrestling. I heard a couple of different things over the last couple of days. And it was our buddy Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer. And it was Jim Cornette and his podcast host, and I don't like that co-host of his anyway too much, but Cornette is great. And they found some correspondence that Dave Meltzer wrote to Norman Kotzer and Jim Melby of the Wrestling News magazine, and Meltzer was given his expert opinion about the wrestling business. Now, an expert opinion on somebody that's never been in the business, somebody that made it his livelihood, and he didn't do that. He's made a lot of money by screwing up wrestling for all of us. This business was best. It was best when it was treated like it was athletic and a major legit sport. But Dave Meltzer shit all over it by putting the Wrestling Observer newspaper, and if anybody wants to send this to Meltzer, I don't give a shit. Because you think I give a shit if that son of a bitch happens to knock me like he knocks Jeff Jarrett? That's the second thing I'm going to say. I was listening to Jeff Jarrett's podcast, and they were freaking reading stuff from recent Wrestling Observer. I'm telling you right now, I think the best damn wrestler in the country, bar none, right now, currently in January of 25. Watch his stuff last week with MJF. The best at doing this thing is Jeff Jarrett right now. The best at doing this thing. And so what does Dave Meltzer do? He knocks Jeff Jarrett. What does Meltzer do? He knocks Memphis Wrestling. What do other people do? There's a lot of people trying to imitate it. There's certainly a lot of people trying to recreate it. It can't be done, because I think this show and this video we're showing today absolutely prove it. Memphis is the best it ever was or ever will be to steal from Bret Hart. Now we'll go to Chris. And Chris, if you remember, after my rant, and I know I'm not supposed to rant when you're in the car or in the show, but you freaking stupid stuff come up around me, I'm going to freaking deal with it. And people that talk Memphis wrestling is going to get a rant and get some cussing and some fussing from me because it's a bunch of bullshit. Now, that great video, Lawler Dundee, Lawler putting the Southern title at stake, Dundee his hair, the chain came up. What do you think, Chris Ellis?
Well, first of all, I'm going to say amen to everything you said. I don't know how anyone's an expert that never did something. That's beyond my comprehension. But that video we watched is two experts in the ring, and you'll notice all the fans that did get in free, as someone mentioned, they're all standing and cheering. They're all on the edge of their seat or jumping in the air, whichever one they're pulling for. One of our people made a comment. I'm a huge Dundee fan. It happened on my birthday. The buy-in and investment from the fans. Fans were invested. I remember watching it live. I was pissed because I was a Lawler fan. So I was pissed because he got the shaft. But the greatest thing, I always go back to this. Those two look like they're beating the crap out of each other. They look like they are legitimately beating the crap out of each other. And then the only thing that they knew when they walked out there was the finish. Everything else they just did. Again, I say it over and over. It's art. It's just unbelievable to watch. The guys today cannot do that. They cannot do it. They have to be step by step by step. That right there, like you said, can't be replicated. That era's gone.
Pat, your comments on the great video we're seeing, and if you want to throw in the defense, if you want to defend me for going crazy, you can do that too.
Well, I mean, I don't think anything's ever happened in Memphis in the wrestling business needs any defense at all. And Dave Meltzer can get off above himself. I mean, I don't, wrestling is based on drawing money, and nobody drew money like Memphis, Tennessee. That match personally, the match there we saw, what impressed me about that was so classic and so timeless with the chain that is straight out of Don Green, 1973. The chain, the hair on the line, the match on the line. It was perfect. It was perfect.
All right, can I say something real quick?
Yes.
See these watery eyes I got right here. You know why I got that? Because I'm emotional and passionate. When I fell in love with Memphis wrestling in 1974, and what is this, 50 years later, I still feel this way about it. I didn't know who the hell Dave Meltzer was. Never heard of Dave Meltzer. Still don't care who Dave Meltzer is. He can't tell me anything about Memphis wrestling because, by God, I lived it.
Michael, how can you follow my rant, Pat's rant, and Chris's rant?
You got a professional.
You're the last word on this matter before we go to the next video. Good luck with this.
Well, I'm going to keep it short and simple and sweet. When you're on top of the mountain, everybody's trying to knock you down. When you are the best and are now, I think in this day and time, Memphis wrestling is being acknowledged by so much of the wrestling fan base out there for being the best of what it is and was even back in the day, that as Pat and as coach have said, it holds the test of time. When you're number one, everybody shoots at you. And that's what's happening today in the flapping jaws world of professional wrestling. They take shots at Memphis wrestling, number one, because there are very few people that are still alive that were involved in it that can take upward and defend it, but also because everybody, including the shoot takers, know that Memphis was the best. bottom line.
All right, part 5, 1985. What a year. And here we go.
The AWA Southern Heavyweight title, Bill Superstar Dundee. He, of course, won the title right here on television and has been able to maintain it with the fact that he's got a bout coming up with a world champion before long.
I just thought I'd dress up to let y'all see what the new world champion's going to look like, Daddy. Jerry Lawler used to get around here, wear that southern belt and look like a bum. He'd wear some T-shirt that some redneck gave him to plug some store. Well, the superstar don't plug no stores. He don't get around like no bum. This is how I want you all to dress when you come to see me wrestle, okay?
Well, I know one thing, that Lawler is looking for an opportunity to get that title back before the World Championship.
I imagine he is, but he ain't going to do it, brother, because I gave him his last title shot. Like I told him, on the 18th, I'm going to wrestle Ric Flair. I'm going to beat Ric Flair. And on the 19th, I will give Jerry Lawler his stinking little belt back.
Well,
now, when you stand out here and you tell everybody how great you are, that's called bragging, right?
That's right.
Well, I'm not a braggadocious type guy. Everybody knows I'm good looking. Everybody knows I can wrestle. Everybody knows I'm the sharpest dude in town. But if you get a friend who used to do it, and you call him out here and he does the bragging for you, it's not bragging, because my mama said, Bill, whatever you do, don't grow up to be bragging. Now, ask this guy right here. He'll tell you all you want to know about the Super.
Here's a guy that was looking for part of you not too very long ago, the masked
Well,
superstar.
we won't talk about that, but what I would like to say is, you know, when you come into an
Jerry
area,
Stubbs,
you
the
try to
masked
make a name for
superstar,
yourself.
Pat,
And I went
Miss, and
straight
Michael.
for Bill Dundee because I feel like he's the best. A lot of people said the King, Jerry Lawler. That's the man you want to get, not me. I go straight for the best. And you know what I liked? I was sitting at home eating my Twinkies and drinking my soda pop last week on this TV station. And I got so excited, I wanted to run down here and tell Bill Dundee, you know, you're truly a superstar. What you did to Jerry Lawler last week on TV was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my whole life. You know, and your people are lucky to see two superstars standing before you today. And in my book, you know, what I couldn't stand.
Just talk here for a little minute. Tell the people how great we are. You'll be my tag team. I got a little picture I want to show the people. Just talk to him for a minute, Lancer. I'll be right back.
You know, what I couldn't understand is Jerry Lawler is a yellow dog. Bill Dundee came out here and wanted to have a match with a foul. But Jerry Lawler, he didn't want to do that. He wanted to stay back there and be the chicken that he is. But not me. Bill Dundee, Superstar Dundee, you stay with me, and we'll take on the foul.
This is Superstar number 2. This is Superstar number 1. Lancer, I was coming back from New Orleans the other day. I'm walking through the airport, and this dude walks up to me. He says, Bill Dundee, I hear you're going to wrestle Ric Flair. I said, you're damn tootin', I'm going to wrestle Ric Flair. I done whooped Jerry Lawler for the price to do that. He said, brother, you look like $1 million. You said, I'm right, I'm like $1 million. He says, but are you happy? Are you happy inside? I said, yeah, I'm happy inside. I said, I got it all, man. I got fancy sports cars, women all over the place, the best booze you can drink, and live in a big, nice house. He said, but brother, is it in here? Do you feel it right there? I said, well, I just don't know. Some mornings I wake up and don't feel too good. He says, so, see this picture here, brother? Ric Flair. I got it all, Daddy. This guy's going to send his son to pray for Bill Dundee the night I wrestle you. So that means it's coming from above, right?
Well,
the guru himself. Take a look at this dude. I bought this book, and if y'all want to buy this book, I gave him a donation of $500 for it. You don't have to do that. Send me $25, and I'll send you a copy of it, okay? Now, but the main thing I'm telling you is, Lancer, his boy is going to be here. The guru's son's coming to sit ringside the night I wrestle Ric Flair. And we're going to put the hoobie-doobies on him, boy.
Well, okay. You're looking at two superstars right here.
Superstars right here. You know, and he can have it all. The Tag Team Championship, the Southern Heavyweight Championship, and the World title from Ric Flair. He can have it all.
A lot easier said than done, my friend. We've got wrestling in front of us, so it's time to get to the ring. Dave, we're opening up.
Chris, you wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, why did Stubbs wrestle as a masked superstar instead of Olympia when he came to Memphis?
Because the original idea was to be programmed with Dundee. That changed to Dundee switching heels, so it all changed. But the original idea was a superstar program. That was a good promo.
Yeah. I always like Stubbs. Stubbs to me is like wrestling too. Without their mask, they don't look the part. But when you put the hood on them, it totally changes who they are.
I was just texting Bo the exact same thing. Yeah, Jerry Stubbs had everything, but he just could not get over on the mic, other than under a hood.
How about you, Michael? Your thoughts of that
Totally
video?
agree. Totally agree. These guys are right on the money. Absolutely. But that was a good promo.
Absolutely. It was fantastic. Speaking of great stuff, we'll continue with great stuff as we're covering the year 1985, Part 6, 6 minutes, 27 seconds. Part 6, 6:27, Adam.
Sure, all you people in Memphis are going to hear Bill Dundee smarting off again today and talking about who's chicken and who's not. Probably Jerry Lawler and probably the Fabs. He's probably going to be running us down real good. Well, Bill Dundee, we realize there's one thing you want, and that's an opportunity to come in and take as many belts as you can possibly get. Well, you started with Jerry Lawler's, and let me tell you something. We realize that you're going to come in here with the idea that you're going to walk right over the Fabs, too, and get their belts. But you know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, you know, Bill Dundee. Obviously, you don't want to put that Southern title up on the line anymore. You're just going to sit on it for 30 days. And there's one thing you want, is another set of belts. And here they are, brother. But you know, if it's good for you, it's good for us. So we're not about to put our titles on the line against you and some nobody that we don't have any idea if he's got the credibility to even step in as a tag team partner. We're going to do the same thing you're doing, Bill Dundee. We're going to put it and we're going to sit on it. And if you want an opportunity, any given night, if you want an opportunity to get these tag team belts, all you got to do is put that Southern belt on the line against one of us, and then it's all yours. You'll get that title shot. What do you think, Stan?
That sounds good. Let me tell the people of Memphis something, and also Bill Dundee something. You know, Monday night, there's not going to be any pressure on the Fabs or Bill Dundee's team. You know why? Because no belts will be at stake. You know what this means? This means that Stan and Steve can go out there completely relaxed and just concentrate on one thing, and that's kicking some booty. And for the past 5 months, the people of Memphis know that all Steve and Stan have done, every time we've walked towards that squared circle there in the Mid-South Coliseum, we've gone out there to fight. And I think, without bragging, I think we fight just as good or if not better than anybody else around here, because we've had plenty of darn practice. I'm talking about boards, chains, chairs, you name it, we've done it. Let me tell you something, Bill Dundee. You come out there at TV Saturday and act like a guy who's about 6'8", when really you're about 5'4". You must have put on some real big, tall platform shoes. You must have thought you were really tough all of a sudden because you came out there and you shoved Steve Kern and Stan Lane. Well, you don't do that, brother. We just had a phone call from Jackie Fargo, and he told us, he said, I'm really surprised. I'm really let down with my Fabs. You let some little jerk shove you, and not only that, you let some little guy go out there in the ring and strut around. He's doing my strut, boys. What do you think about that? We said, Jackie, it won't happen again. And I'm going to make a promise. I know Steve feels the same way I do. Bill Dundee, you little bantam rooster, if you go out there and you try to strut one time Monday night, we're going to knock your teeth down to your toes, brother. We're going to teach you a lesson, Bill Dundee. We don't like little goofy jerks like you coming around here after all the reputation we've established and try to shove us around and try to say something like that about us. Let me tell you something. Monday night, you get ready. We're going to whip you and whip you good.
At least you had the opportunity to hear the interview with the fabulous one.
Just let me tell all you rednecks out there something. There's two kinds of people in this world, brother. There's weasels and there's weasel slappers, and you're looking at two weasel slappers. Now, they stand out here. Now, just let get a picture of this. Just let me ask you this now. What month's this, Lance Russell?
Well, this is October.
October. They both have suntans like they just come back from Florida, and everybody knows they ain't been there. They've been right here where there's no sun. So they lay in a sunbed all day. Now, they get up and they comb their hair real pretty in the morning. What's left of Steve Kern's all falling out in the front. And they have some old bleach blonde, Jackie Fargo, telling them that they're great. And they're believing it. No, what you guys are, Jack, is steroid freaks. You take that little needle, shove it in your booty, push the end of it, and that blows you up. Well, that's nothing, brother. That's a figment of your imagination. You're looking at a real man, Daddy. Now, Ronnie Millslap can see that I'm not 6'4", and Ray Charles could also see that I'm not 5'4". I've told you for years, 5'7", 207 pounds, the toughest pound-per-pound wrestler there is, right?
You're a tough one, I'll say
Okay,
that.
now, I never claimed to be a giant. I just claim to be great at what I do. And Superstar, too, is great at what he does. Now, Steve Kern and Stan Lane, you're going to look awful foolish Tuesday morning when you go home and somebody says, well, who won last night, Stevie? Some little girl with green teeth runs up and says, who won last night? And they're going to hang their heads and they're going to say, little Billy Dundee and the Superstar won. Now, how are you going to feel coming out here telling the people how small I am and how big you are when I'm going to whoop you, boy? You're going to look like a fool. Now, just let me tell y'all something. Jerry Lawler chickened out, and him and I run this place for 10 years. Me and Lawler was the kings there was, Daddy. Whenever they wanted somebody beat up, they put Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee, and we did it. But Lawler's lost it, man. He's an old, fat man. He couldn't beat Ric Flair. I'm going to do that. Steve Kern, Stan Lane, some other old man, Jackie Fargo, sits out there, and he picks up the telephone, and he says, Dundee's doing the strut better than I'm doing. That's right, Daddy, because I'm just a young athlete, Fargo. Now, why don't you show up, old man, and I'll beat your brains out, just like we're going to beat Stan and Steve. Now, talk to my man.
Well, there's not a whole lot to say except
You know, he said it all. But what we do is we walk down the mall, you know, and you see these girls. As we pass, they say, who is that? Boy, they sure do have class. But all the women you got around here look like they finished last in a pit bull contest. That's what kind of women hang around with the Fabs. They get out here and they talk about how big and bad, and they're going to slap somebody's teeth down to their feet. But yet they don't have guts enough to put that title up. That's what it's all about. Here's guts right here, and we'll prove it.
Now, I just want to leave you with this. I just want to live. Now, honestly, all you people sitting back there, hey, Fatso, I'm talking to you. Put the paper down, pulling back that bowl of grits, and that little old lady running around serving you. Take a look at your TV screen, and can you honestly say they can look as good as I do, Lance? No, and they can't wrestle in their fight. We're going to beat you.
The Superstars.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you one thing, Billy. You better be sure of your partner, because you're going against a couple of guys that have honed their teeth well on the sheep herders, and you see how tough the Fabs are. We'll be seeing it all Monday night.
Can't hear Randy.
Yeah, I can't hear you, Randy.
Pat Trammell, your thoughts on that video?
I think they're just, continuing to work the angle. Just great stuff. I mean, Dundee's the star of this thing, for sure.
Chris?
Well, I see Dave said that Bill did awesome promos. The difference in the promo from Dundee to Steve and Stan. Steve and Stan's promo, to me, is not very strong. Dundee's just seems so natural. It's really him. It's easy and smooth and just flows. And so that makes you want to come and see it. That talks you into the building, as they say.
Michael, your thoughts on that video?
Well, first of all, I think the promos are second to none. They did it week in, week out. The thing that got me, and I was sort of chuckling to myself about it, I remember the first time when I interviewed Stan Lane, and he couldn't say 10 words without stumbling and fumbling and not putting any energy to it. And then I hear him do this promo, and it's like he's magic on the mic. Whatever he got, the metamorphosis of Stan Lane and the Fabs as a team, and because when they first started out, Steve Kern did most of the talking, but then as time went on, Stan got better and better and better, and then went on from there. But I think the setup is just textbook. I think we're seeing setup textbook for drawing money.
I think we'll probably show one more video today and maybe do a bonus video. Not sure on that. We will go at them as we're doing 85, and I'm going to let this video just explain itself. It's part 7. It's 4 minutes and 16
but he missed a couple of them, and Lance went out to his
house
house to kind of see what had happened. But when Lance got there, he certainly didn't find what he expected. Take a look at this.
Thank you. Okay, let's get on up here and see if we can find out where this son of a gun is. I can't figure it out. I have called him and called him, and hadn't been able to get any kind of answer at all from him. I don't know, and it's not like him to be out of touch that much. I know he's hard to get a hold of, and he's on the road. But the son of a gun has missed his bookings. I have never, in all the time I've known Jerry, have ever known him to miss any bookings. So let's get on up here and see. He's all decorated up for Halloween with the pumpkins out and all. Boy, what a day. Well, let me get, what in the Sam Hill is this? Beer cans? I never saw. What in the hell are you doing, Jerry? Jerry, what in the Sam Hill are you doing out here? Come on, get up. Get up from here. You are going to catch your death of cold out of here.
I'm warm out here. I'm warm with this.
Hey, come on. Hey, Ken, you better turn the camera. Hey, turn the camera off. We don't want this in there.
You got a camera.
Yeah.
I'll leave the camera on.
Jerry, come on. What? Get up from here now. What in the Sam Hill are you doing out here with all this drinking and carrying on?
Sit down.
Jerry, no, listen. Good night. This is awful. I have never seen you in a situation like this.
Lance, have never drank nothing.
Yeah,
nothing till 3 days ago.
Come on, Jerry, you've been missing.
And now?
They want me to come out and find out what in the Sam Hill. Come on.
I'll tell you what in the Sam Hill. Who is he?
Come on, Jerry. Good night.
You want to know why I'm here, Lance? Where am I?
Please, yeah. Where?
Sam Hill, who is he? Fantastic.
I'm going to quit. I'm not wrestling anymore.
You're not going to quit.
I have already quit.
You're just, come on now, let's get in the house.
I don't feel so good.
I bet you don't feel so good. That garbage.
But no, it's not this. I'll tell you why I don't feel so good. Is that on? Yeah. Is he taking a picture?
Yeah, he's still shooting.
I want to tell you why I quit. You don't want to know why?
Yeah, why? Why, Jerry? You haven't. Go ahead. Tell me why.
Because of Mr. Superstar Bill Dundee.
Oh, you're not going to let that little guy get in your hair, are you?
He won't. He won't give me. He wouldn't give me a title match.
That's right.
And he gets to wrestle the world champion.
That's true.
And I don't. And I told everybody that if I didn't win the world title, then I retire. So if I can't wrestle for it, I can't win it, so I'm going to retire, so I quit now. Hey, that costs a lot of money.
Yeah, I know it. Okay, come on. Let's get in the house. Now, Jerry, you don't need any more of this. Now, come on. Things aren't that bad.
I don't need any more Bill Dundee. I don't need any more wrestling.
You're going to let Bill Dundee do this to you? Now, come on. Get yourself together. Let's get this all back together, man. You still got a chance.
I, Lance, have got a chance to quit. And I do. Sit down, Jerry.
Hey,
sit down
no,
here.
I'm not. You get up with me.
No, you sit down with me.
Hey, Ken, turn it off. We don't want any more of this. Please, just turn the stuff off.
Sit down with me.
Jerry, come on. Now, get up and go in the house with me. Now, get out of here.
Okay, Chris, I want this to be your comments from that, and then your last take as we're wrapping it up for the day. More videos as we continue. 85 next week on Talking Memphis Wrestling.
Who is Sam Hill? I mean, that's elite. That's an elite line. Perfect timing. Lawler is a tremendous performer. That's just incredible. I mean, hell, I thought I was watching Foster Brooks there for a minute.
You're aging yourself.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm excited to where this is going. I'm a huge Lawler Dundee fan, obviously, so I can't wait to see where we go. We're just getting started on this, so I can't wait for us to go through the rest of it.
Now, Dave says, where was this done? It was done 5190 Walnut Grove Road, Memphis, Tennessee, where at the time, don't use that address and go now because Lawler doesn't live there anymore, and I'm not telling you that address, but that was just good stuff. Final comments and review of what we've seen today, Pat Trammell. We started the way you wanted. You fired me as a head writer of this show. You made me make some changes, but it got over. Your segment got over. Didn't draw a dime back then, but
Well, that's all right. That's all right. I think this is really this year and this era is some of the better creativity in Memphis wrestling history. It really is. And I don't mean that to slight any other area, but it's just so creative, and Lance is in that, and anybody, this is kind of a wink wink kind of segment right now because everybody knows Lawler never has touched a drop of alcohol in his life, but it's just great work. PJ, Sam Hill, what the Sam Hill is a euphemism for not to use the devil, because in early 18th century America, if you said the devil would come into you. So that's where that comes from.
all right. Your review of the show and your last take. Michael, last take and review of this show as we're rolling.
Well, first of all, Jerry Lawler makes a better drunk than most drunks do. I mean,
yes,
incredible. But, and Pat, you said it right. I mean, in 85, I lived 85 in this area, and 85 was a banner year. It was a banner year in Memphis, but also this spilled over in the rest of the territory. They were doing this in Nashville. They were doing it in Louisville. And they were doing it all. I mean, it made the bicycle, and the creative part of 85 is an incredible story. And I think it's textbook Memphis booking and wrestling. And I love the way the show's going. And I'm like, Coach, I mean, I can't wait till next week, because next week's going to even be better.
It will be better. It'll be great. One quick thing that I want to say is that, Adam, on the captions, I want everybody to put down this date, because we have on Monday for the last several years, for around 151 shows, we have been doing the Power Hour on Monday night. Just a heads up, on Monday night, February the 10th at 7 Central, right here, wherever you watch the show, YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook. It will be the final Power Hour from April 14th of 2001. Make sure, and I'm getting choked up. Let me see the screen, see if Michael is still here. I'm all choked up, he is. I don't think I can make it through this close. I really don't, Michael. So close us out.
Make the tag. Come on, make the tag. Okay, here we go. Folks, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this has been a fun show tonight, and I love having the gang back together again. Coach, we've missed you. Pat, we love you. Be careful in Vegas. Randy, a fabulous job. And to the guy behind the scenes that sort of puts everything, it's like making cornbread. You put all the ingredients in, but until you bake it, you don't have anything. And the guy that bakes it is Adam Dunn. And Adam, you do a fabulous job, and we appreciate it. So on behalf of the crew, my brothers, my friends, Randy Hale, the genius behind Talking Memphis Wrestling, but the genius behind many of these ideas that we're starting to get into. A big thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank God we live in America, and we'll see you next Tuesday night, 7 o'clock Central. God bless everyone on behalf of the whole crew. So long, everybody.
Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hill and special guests.